Hi, my name is Miriam Bernabei and I'm a volunteer for the town of Greenburgh, and we are here on location today at the Greenburgh Public Library, and I am with two amazing photographers who have an exhibit in the library here until January 14th, and it's in the multipurpose room on the main floor at the Howard and Ruth Jacobs Family Gallery. So please do yourself a favor and come and see it. It is fabulous. And I would like to welcome you guys. And I have to be honest with you, I came on Friday, and typically when I start these interviews, I'll say, you know, where are you from? How did you get involved in your art? But when I saw your work, I just had to know the process because these are photographs. I know you assured me they're photographs, but they are so amazing. And I just want to know what equipment you use and how you manipulate those photographs, and just take us through that. So what do you do? How do you make that art?
Well, first you have to take the pictures.
Okay, that's excellent. That proves you are a photographer.
We are a photographer. We spend a lot of time in the roads, in the streets, and wherever. There are pictures to take. I like urban settings, you know, because a lot of what I do, it helps to have straight lines. Mm-hmm. You know, if you see the show, which I hope everyone will, you'll see that it's a creation. It's not just a photograph. It's actually a creation. Right. And sometimes urban scenes are easier to do for me than nature or other things.
So you use a camera, an iPhone. What do you use?
I use a camera.
Okay.
You know.
And you also use a camera?
I use every camera. Yeah, I have a few cameras, and I also use an iPhone on the subways. Because I like taking pictures also. Okay.
And then these are not just straight. I mean, they're straight pictures, but then they change.
Then
How do you do that?
We put them in Photoshop, and I have to tell you, Photoshop it has my heart.
Yeah.
We're able to they're digital cameras we've been using for about 10 or 12, 15 years.
25 years.
20, really? Time flies. So we use digital cameras, and the last one I got was the D850 Nikon, which is really a wonderful camera. And I still even walk around with a few lenses.
Wow.
I try not to, but I do. And then in the digital darkroom, I have a Cintiq, which is like a large drawing pad. And the picture comes up on the computer as well as on the Cintiq, and you actually have a pen, and you can actually draw and adjust things and move things around and take things out and put things in. And I don't often do it, but sometimes I'll even take something from another picture and put it in. But I do a lot of drawing and manipulation, and I use filters, and I wait till it gets good, and then I say, that's it, it's finished.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's incredible, really.
And it's exciting, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. So can you walk us through like one of the pieces, like from creation, from the photograph to the final project? Want to try that?
Sure. Well, one of the pieces that you saw in the show was, it's called Mirror, Mirror, and it started out as a shaving mirror in a junk shop, and took a picture of it and put it into Photoshop, stripped it down to its metal, basically. So, you know, I work it up. You know, the mirrors were crisscrossed, and then I built it up, you know, through other processes until it was finished. Mm-hmm. But Photoshop is an amazing tool, and you can really do anything you want with a photograph.
Yeah.
It's different than a normal editing program, which is like you know, up the focus a little bit, or up the sunlight, or change the colors. It's not like that. You can actually take a photograph and tear it apart, and redo it any way you want to do it.
Right.
And it's not an easy tool to use, but it's very, very amazing.
Yeah, I saw in some of your pieces stretching, like the staircase things stretching. You can stretch things and make them different, for sure.
And the product keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, and then you have to keep up with the technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the hard part, because it keeps changing and moving fast.
Yeah.
And how about you, Annette?
Well, I can tell you a little about what I did on this picture, if I look at it. It's called Music in the Air, and it's Tarrytown.
Oh, Tarrytown.
And the music store in Tarrytown. He's a really nice man, Tarrytown. And I've taken 3 or 4 pictures there that I really like. In fact, the last show I had, I sold one of the pictures that was taken in that window. But it has a reflection in here, so I take the picture and I really get off on the reflections. And it's a reflection of the music hall behind it. And then there's also a reflection of some of the pieces that are in the store. So they're sort of hanging out in the internet or the air or whatever you want to call it. And you can see the name of the music hall is there also. And I believe it's in reverse because it's a reflection. And then there was all the little tags with the prices. Now, he should not put prices on it when he puts the guitars in the window. So we got rid of, and I think Ellen helped me get rid of the tags. But it was work, and then I work on it in Photoshop and I use filters, and it turned out to be a pretty interesting picture.
So how long does that all take to do?
Oh,
a long time.
I was afraid you wouldn't ask. I put pictures up almost every day on Facebook, so I do 2 or 3 pictures every day. I have a good time with it. But if I'm doing a picture that's serious, it'll take a couple of days to work it out.
And you too? Same kind of time frame?
It could take a month. You know, some of the photos I do, because it's very intensive. You know, and there's a lot of stuff that has to be done, and just looking through my library to get the right picture that's going to work into another picture is a huge process. And once I find it, then it's even a bigger project getting it in and making it fit. So it's hard to describe without seeing it, but it's pretty extensive.
So okay, now we can find out a little bit about you two. Like, where are you from? How did you get involved in photography to begin with? Did you have a career in photography earlier on, or this is an avocation, a vocation?
Well, I was always, I'm a techno freak, so a camera to me is like a sacred object. And early on, I took the normal family pictures and things like that, but when I was in school, and actually dental school, I used to be a dentist. And when I was in dental school and graduating, I presented some work to the people in the dental school, and they decided to give me about 10 pages in the yearbook in color, and I made some composites using my own photographs and cutting them out, by hand and pasting them up, which is really an awful way to do the kind of work I wanted to do, because digital didn't exist at that time.
Right.
And so that was my first foray into compositing, and some of it was fun. But when digital came out and Photoshop came out, it opened a whole new world for me.
Of course.
And that gave me the tools to do what I really, really wanted to do.
Yeah. And Annette, how about you?
Well, we were married when we were in school, and they even took the rejects from the first dental school picture and put it in the next year's picture, which I thought was funny. But I've been taking pictures and painting and doing work my whole life. And when we were first married, after I taught for a couple of years and I had children, I would paint on the street with art. I did art, and I did outdoor art shows. Wow. And the year I made $4,000, I said, this is not enough to live on. And besides, I don't have medical insurance. So I went back to school. I became a school. My undergraduate degree is in fine arts and art history. And when I went back to school, I did a degree in art therapy, and then immediately did school psychology, and got a job as a school psychologist in New York in East Harlem.
Oh, wow.
And I loved the job I had. It was amazing.
Nice.
And I'm still in touch with some of the children that I counseled. But I ran an art club every morning with the children before school started.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky. And I also had school psychology and art therapy interns for the 28 years that I worked in East Harlem.
Wow.
And I used the camera very often to take pictures of the children, and to do work with them as well. And I would teach Asian painting, and I had a wonderful career. And when I retired, I was a docent at the Rubin Museum for Himalayan Art until they went out of business on October 6th. Although they say they're not out of business, they're global, and so they're going to be having shows around the world. But I also have done photography. I went on a trip to Korea with the Korea Society and took the pictures for them. And we've been taking pictures together since we were first married. We bought an early camera, and then we bought a better camera, and then we bought a better camera. and we've been very lucky to be able to do it together. And we've traveled around the world here and there. Yeah. But mostly, I have a love for the city. Mm-hmm. And I get on the subway and I get excited. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there very clandestine.
With the iPhone, taking a photo.
And then you work on it in Photoshop, and I work in Photoshop, and it's good for winter.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we eventually bought 2 cameras.
Oh, yes.
One for her and one for me. And, then it became our own work.
So you didn't have to collaborate as much as anymore. Have you collaborated on a piece ever? Like one piece?
Not really. Not really. I help her a lot, because I'm a
the techie guy.
Yeah, techie, and I'm really into Photoshop. And sometimes she needs my help, and I'm willing to do it.
And sometimes he needs my help because I'm really good at composition and color and painting and how things go together.
Beautiful.
And he appreciates it. What do you think of this? And I go, move this maybe.
It's nice to have a person who can critique your work.
And we work in the same room.
That knows your work.
It's funny, I guess you came to the marriage actually with this photographic interest anyway. I mean, you didn't have the cameras, but you kind of did. You had
I had a Girl Scout camera.
Okay, so you came prepared. Before the marriage, did you have a camera?
But the other thing was that his father took a movie of us and a picture when we first met, and he was young, and I was young, and he remembered me.
Oh,
actually, I was not into art when I met her for the second time. She took me around to museums and really opened my eyes to the art world. I lived in Long Island. I went to college. I wasn't really. I had the bones, I think, but I never really was introduced to the whole field. And she was an artist from the get-go.
Right. And I don't know if we said it on the camera, but that you did meet when you were 8 years old, and then you moved to another place, and then you got together later, and so you've really known each other since you were 8 years old. That's pretty amazing, If
we didn't know we knew of each other.
You saw each other, but with no remembrance.
And we had pictures.
So what role do you think that photography plays in your relationship now?
It's big. It's because it's what we do. And when we go out, when we go to the city, we take our cameras, and she does her stuff, I do my stuff, and we sometimes get together
and then
as we wait for each other on the other side of the street or at the end of the corner. We sometimes take similar things, but a lot of times we have our own way of doing photography.
Well, I could see it in your work.
The work is
clearly you have a style, and you have a style that's different.
And we also travel some together, although we haven't since COVID. But I hope to do it again.
So have you got other exhibits coming up? I know you have lots of exhibits in the past. Anything?
Well, we belong to a photography club. They have things coming up. And the local galleries will sometimes send out for
Contests.
yeah, they'll take your work for a month or so.
Right.
And we've had several shows of our own, mostly in libraries in Westchester.
And
But
New York a little.
coming up, who knows?
Well-
Who knows what's going to happen?
I have 3 pieces that are going to go in the Croton Arts Review, which is a magazine by the
nice.
Croton Arts Council.
Yeah.
And it's terrific. It's got poetry, and it's got stories,
Lovely.
and it's got photography.
Very nice.
And they picked 3 of my pieces for the spring issue.
You know, what I want to say before, we were talking about interesting reactions that the public have had. So you were telling me something. What was the most interesting thing that somebody said to you about this art?
I actually bought a copy of what he said. It was so great. I don't know if it's appropriate to read it, but it's it's a couple of sentences. Because he really, we belong to a club in Croton, and he's a really wonderful photographer, this man. And he didn't get to the opening, but he did get to the show. And he wrote, "I couldn't make it to your opening, but got to see your wonderful show this Thursday. As a whole, the entire collection of large and imaginative images amazed and totally captivated me and my imagination. It was hard to single out favorites, but a few remain in this old guy's memory." He's not that old. "Some of Alan's were Forbidden Fruits, 5 Steps, Escape Artist," that's really good,
Yeah.
"The Last Tree, Lucy and the Twins, Cigarette, and Mirror, Mirror." Some of Annette's that come to mind include Yellow Flowers, Bed of Nails, House with Full Moon, You Are a Good Dog, So Alone, Exotica, Mirror of Life, 5 Floating Guitars,
Yes.
A Mom, Curious 3, and Berlin Kiss. "Alan, I love the way you upend perspective, much like Escher, and your crisp, precise renderings totally fascinates me. Annette, the complexity of your reflected collages amaze and captivate me. Your captures of people in the environment are also so singular and wonderful." And that was by Rob DeBonne.
Beautiful. I think he captures it. He says it.
I
for
thought
sure.
he was fabulous.
Well, he's a photographer also.
And he's
He
a very
understands
good
it,
photographer.
so-
We both wrote separate letters to him to thank him.
Beautiful. Speaking of selling, would you like to sell your work?
From your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah, I guess so.
We have a price
No,
of 100.
it's rare. We're amateur photographers, even though we think we're really good.
Well, you've been at it a long time too.
But it's really, really. I mean, you really
Yeah.
have to be in a gallery to sell your work. I mean, it's friends will buy, occasionally, people that know you, but you really have to be out there pushing if you really want to sell.
Well, do you have a website, or are you?
I
so
do.
you-
I have a website.
You have a
I
website.
have a website.
Okay. I ask a signature question at the end of my interviews. How do you define success as an artist? As you are a personal artist, how do you define your own success in this field?
That's sort of easy. I find success as a person, and being kind, considerate, loving as much as I can. And I have a background that's Buddhist. And I think a successful person is able to give from their heart. And my art is from my heart. I hope that's my definition of success.
It's beautiful. Alan, do you?
You're talking about the artwork, pretty much.
The artwork.
Yeah.
You as an artist.
Yeah.
How are you successful?
I'm a hard critic. I'm the worst critic of all on myself. And if I like a piece of work, then that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff I don't. I may like it for a while, then I won't like it or whatever.
You're talking about your own work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of it hangs around, and that makes me happy.
And you keep my old paintings up.
Well, he loves your paintings. A big thank you to you guys. It's been wonderful getting to know you. And thank you to Corey Deichman from the library, and of course, Paul Feiner and Sarah Bracey White, and Janelle Wallace, and of course, our Terrence Brosnan, our videographer. And I really recommend you all come to the library before January 15th so that you can see this beautiful show. You will love it.